I sense a butt approaching.
That's the kind of humor I expect from Rooster Teeth. Hello everybody, Weegee here. Today we're going to be looking at the 4th and 5th episode of Volume 9 of RWBY. These two episodes really start to push the plot forward and the character development forward, which, with there only being 5 more episodes in the volume, that is probably important. We get some severe doubt on RWBY's side about who she is, and a surprise turn at the end of the 5th episode, with some weird implications. I do hope they have enough time to give Neo a proper redemption, or at the very least, the start of a redemption. Maybe it could be a multi-volume arc. So let's get into episode 4 and 5. Spoiler alert in effect, obviously, and if you like this video, remember to subscribe and leave a comment. Let's go! Episode 4 of RWBY starts off with our hero Ruby trying to find the curious cat, who last episode wandered off. Her attempts aren't great. This is how you can tell that RWBY is definitely a dog person. This isn't how you get a cat's attention, or get it to come to you, or the finger movements. Cats love that shit. As RWBY tries to horribly call for the cat, Lil spots the cat's hindquarters. She approaches the hindquarters, trying to get its attention when...
Hello, cat?
Yeah, I guess the cat can split itself in half. That's not unsettling. RWBY then asks him if he goes by Cat or Curious Cat, to which the cat responds with this.
Don't go by. That belongs to the days and the years. But if you are asking me what I am, I do suppose I am indeed a cat. Most curious.
What does that even mean? RWBY appears to be as confused as me. She's definitely not wrapping her head around this weird cat's unique way of talking. She asks the cat if he can help them get to the tree, as no matter what they do, they seem to be unable to get closer to the tree, which prompts this comment from Weiss.
To me, like we're even farther.
Yeah, I think that's because we're 6 inches tall.
It could be both.
The tree.
No, Weiss, no, you're supposed to be the smart one in the group. Don't let this world take that away from you. I like that Weiss says it could be both, in an attempt to try to save face, like she knows she is wrong, but she will never admit it. Especially not to Yang. So she says both can be right. The cat then spouts off some philosophical riddles, which Yang is having none of.
Not even a little bit.
Well,
Yeah, same, Yang. Same. RWBY asks him once more, saying he's already been there, so why can't he take them there? To which he says, what's the point of going somewhere that they've already been? Which I kinda get. If the world is massive, why waste time going to somewhere you have been if you have the chance to go somewhere where you haven't? The cat then switches from its philosophical setting to its cat setting, as it begins to chase a yellow butterfly. So many different colored butterflies. What does a yellow butterfly symbolize? Let's see. Good things and an abundance of happiness is coming your way. Oh, something tells me that this butterfly is in the wrong episode, because I don't see that happening in this episode, maybe not even in this volume. Blake mentions Alex, and this gets the cat's attention, curious as to how they know Alex, before bombarding them with questions related to her.
She was
Alex? How do you know her?
Coming off like a fan that doesn't want spoilers, but totally wants spoilers.
Wait, don't tell me. Okay, no, tell me.
yeah.
They tell him that they don't know her personally, but that she wrote a book about her adventures here that became a favorite of children of their world. He begins asking more questions, before, much like a real cat, getting distracted by a mouse, Little, who is cowering behind Blake. Blake steps in front of them, blocking him from the cat.
So they're spoken for.
What does that mean? Do cats have dibs on mice? Where if one cat wants the mouse, the other cats can't have it? Like, can you imagine a cat stalking a mouse around the yard before realizing that it's a different cat's mouse and being like, oh shit, that's Fluffy's mouse, better back off. The cat spouts off some more questions before jumping down off of RWBY. Then Weiss proceeds to roast the shit out of the cat.
Are we sure they're not called the constantly annoying cat?
Got him. Totally roasted.
Thank you.
Damn, I love Weiss and Yang's relationship in this volume. They are a fucking unstoppable, sassy and sarcastic duo. It's nice to finally see them interact with each other in a non-serious manner. This has been one of the highlights of the volume. The possibility of interactions like this is one of the reasons why they are one of my favorite ships. Even though that is never going to happen, I'm happy that they are going to be sarcastic best friends. Blake tells RWBY that maybe they can't have the cat lead them to the tree, but they can trick him into leading them there. Of course, the cat girl knows how to trick the cat into doing what they want. RWBY calls out to the cat that has once again run away, telling them that they can answer their questions. Which does get the cat to come back, but he is suspicious as there has to be a
butt approaching.
butt joke. Classic. RWBY tells the cat that they have so many stories from the world that they can tell the cat, before whipping out their scroll to show the cat.
Look, ever seen a scroll before? Ooh.
Luminous rectangle. Ooh.
The cat looks at this scroll like a kid about to ask if you have games on your phone, before accidentally snapping photos of itself. So this cat is like a mix between a child and an old man that has never seen technology. The screen fades in and out, and then we come back to the cat making commentary that feels like it's directly ripped from the RWBY critics Reddit page.
And the boys share a body now? Ooh, that's got some uncomfortable implications. Did that CL girl from the Vital Festival ever come back in a notable way? There's just so many characters to keep track of. Wait, what was my original question?
Unlike Yang's comments from episode 2, this feels like an indirect shot at the fourth wall, with the writers poking fun at some of the things that just happen to slip through the cracks, before it gets kinda mean.
Though I felt some of the character voices were a bit uninspired. Looking at you, wise huntress.
Again, it's wise.
Was that shot at Kara's voice acting in the first volume? That's a little rude. The cat then talks about Alex's own lack of knowledge about Remnant, before delivering a rather ominous comment about her fate.
I'd certainly say so.
Did something happen to Alex down here? Then they arrive at the entrance of the Garden's Acre, which is a giant dark forest with what appears to be giant mushrooms dotted around, much like the Red King's area. All that separates the two lands is a rickety bridge. It goes straight from dirt and grass to an abundant forest. Yang gives a pretty apt description for this world.
This entire world is put together like a bunch of mixed up puzzle pieces. How does anyone make sense of this?
I think I said something similar in the first episode too. The cat then gives us some more information about the Ever After. It's actually something that I've been saying since the first episode, about the way the names work in this world. He asks if it's the same way in Remnant, and is perplexed that it doesn't, saying that he never thought to even ask that. The idea of a world where your purpose isn't obvious is such an odd concept to the cat that I assume that he never thought about it, much like the idea that everybody has an assigned role from birth is a wild concept to our heroes, and us, where free will and the ability to try and choose who you are is such a huge part of our personal identity. The reason that they're heading into this forest is because in it are the ingredients that they need to grow back to their normal sizes. The cat then gets a little too personal.
How many more relics does she need to end the world again? How are you even supposed to stop her now that Atlas is gone?
Damn cat, did you really need to bring that up? That was unnecessary. Also, he makes it sound like she has almost all the relics. She has 2 out of 4. That's only half. So she is only halfway there, and it's been 2 years since the fall of Beacon, and she still hasn't found that relic. So I doubt she's gonna get her hands on that one anytime soon. Yeah, Atlas fell, but they still have 3 other kingdoms, so I mean it's not that bad, right? Except Atlas supplied most of the dust to the world, so that's a huge loss. So maybe they are screwed. RWBY stops to ruminate on the words of the cat before Blake steps in to comfort her, telling her not to worry about home right now. Which is kind of what Weiss has been doing throughout this entire volume. This distraction causes RWBY to lose the cat.
Oh no, I wasn't paying attention.
God damn it, RWBY, you had one job. Aw, how could I stay mad at that fight? It's so cute. So after they lose their only hope to get to the tree, they wander around a bit before coming up on a talking bush with eyes.
What are you?
They immediately approach the talking bush, which is like, why do you guys have no self-preservation instincts? What about this world tells you should approach this weird bush? The cat also told them that they shouldn't wander far from him. As our fearless heroes approach the bush, a giant bugman explodes out of the bush to greet them. Our heroes aren't all that surprised by this, but if this was me, I'd be running the fuck away, like I was Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. The bugman asks them who they are.
I am getting really tired of that question.
Me too. I don't need other people constantly questioning who I am. I already do that 3 times a day on my own. I don't need help to further increase my self-image problems. Team RWBY asks them who he is, and he says,
Obvious. I am an herbalist. The herbalist.
RWBY asks if he can make them a Grogurt parfait to make her friends big again. He tells them to follow him.
Well, are you coming in or aren't you?
You can't.
They fucking follow him into this weird mushroom home with a swirled door that closes behind them. Look, I know that they are desperate, but come on girls, you have to be smarter than this. Especially you, Weiss. You're supposed to be the voice of reason in this group. The one that keeps the others from doing things that are horrifyingly stupid. Not amplifying it.
It could be both.
Yes, I suppose you can be. This is how horror movies happen, girls. Once they're in the home of the bug, now identified as the herbalist, he again asks them what they are. They say they're huntresses, I guess. The uncertainty of their answer seems to annoy the herbalist. They ask him what a huntress does. RWBY struggles to answer the question.
Huntresses are heroes. We protect those who can't protect themselves.
The fact that RWBY is unable to give a definitive answer to the question of what a huntress is speaks volumes to the self-doubt that RWBY is facing. This is a girl that has wanted to be a huntress since she was a child. The person that so confidently talked about what it meant to be a huntress in previous volumes. The herbalist then asks them if they are good huntresses, and they all fall silent.
Look,
I mean, I feel like the answer to this is a bit more complicated than are you good or bad. You can't really boil it down to one or the other, there's a lot of nuance to that. They're extremely proficient at killing Grimm. They help everybody that they can. They may not always succeed, but they have saved a lot of people. Yang clearly isn't too happy with the questions and tries to push the herbalist towards what they are trying to do.
can you help us or not?
I am trying. Should really have a better understanding of what you are now.
I'm not sure how understanding who they are is going to help them grow to the correct size, but okay. The herbalist then tells them to follow him further into the house, saying something about a prince. Does he have something to do with the prince, or is this just some sort of old saying that I've never heard? Seeing as our heroes have already come this far, they of course just follow the bug man, further into his possible murder den. Though I suppose at this point they really don't have a choice since, the front door disappeared. This one also disappears as soon as they enter. Then the bug man proceeds to get RWBY high as fuck, as he throws these psychedelic leaves onto a fire, as he himself is taking a hit from a bong. After the smoke enters our heroes' lungs, they all begin to trip balls as they see younger versions of themselves, who all question what they are doing and tell them they can be whatever they want to be. Things that I feel at one point in their lives they truly wished for. For Yang, it's...
To be whole again?
For Weiss.
To be free?
For Blake.
Or just a cat? To be something simpler?
Wait, did she want to be a cat? Did she say just be a cat? Is that possible? Is that something Blake wished for at one point? To just be a cat? I mean, it's not a bad wish. Seems like a pretty chill life. You get to be an asshole without people getting mad at you. They just pass it off as a cat thing. They all rebuff their younger selves, each with answers that really highlight the journeys that our three older heroes have gone through. Yang answers that everything that she has gone through, everything that she has lost, made her who she is. Yang has embraced her disability. She has embraced her scars and moved past them, and has accepted them as part of who she is. Blake is no longer afraid to accept who she is as a faunus, a race sort of caught between two lines. She is done running away from who she is, running away from her friends and family. To return to that wouldn't be a simple life, it would be betraying the trust that they have put into her. Finally, we have Weiss, who starts off by ripping into her younger self a little bit before telling her who she is. I love this line right here.
Daughter of a hero and the child of a villain. I am a citizen of a fallen kingdom and an heir to nothing. I will not be defined by my name because I will be the one to define it.
God is so good and so fucking poetic. I love it. Weiss, after years of feeling like she has had to live up to the Schnee name, of feeling like that name and the history behind it defined who she was, has finally decided that she isn't going to let that be true. She is going to define what it means to be Weiss Schnee, not let Schnee define who she is. They all end this by saying they are huntresses.
And I am a huntress.
I am a huntress. I am a huntress.
Then it's RWBY's turn, and the uplifting mood deflates, as the younger RWBY grills current RWBY about whether she was able to live up to the moniker of huntress. She goes all out on RWBY with lines like this.
It's up to you to make things better, isn't it? Everything all depends on you. Your sister needs you. Your friends need you. The whole world needs you to keep fighting forever and ever against an invincible monster that took your mother. Mom was the best, but even she failed.
RWBY is coming face to face with the unreal expectations that she has put on herself as a huntress. That she has to be the one to fix everything, that everything falls on her, her sister, her friends, and the world. She needs to save all of them. This responsibility is far too much for her. The idea of what a perfect huntress is crushing her, with each and every failure. She's coming face to face with the reality that the fairy tales she read as a child weren't, well, real. The younger RWBY then asks the question RWBY has struggled to answer this entire volume.
So, what are you gonna be?
The illusions then gives her an out, telling her that she can be whoever she wants to be. She doesn't even have to be Ruby Rose. You could tell from RWBY's body language and her eye movement that she is seriously considering it. To be rid of all of it. The responsibility of saving the world, of being a huntress, of being the one with all the answers. She can just be nothing. Before she can answer the question, though, the cat breaks it up. Saving RWBY from something. I'm not quite sure, but episode 5 might give us some answers. Before we go on, let's talk about this scene, because this scene is one of the most important ones of the volume so far. It's a scene that really highlights these journeys of self-growth that the other members of Team RWBY have gone on. They've outgrown their insecurities to become who they are today. They've all overcome the struggles that they either were born with or have come their way to become better versions of themselves. They've all become people that they deem worthy of the title of Huntress. RWBY, on the other hand, feels like she has failed to live up to what she deems a huntress is. I think compared to her friends, she feels like she has remained stagnant, or maybe has become worse as a person. She's done things that she may not be proud of, like lying to Ironwood back in Volume 7. She had to make impossible decisions that cost people their lives. The way that this scene was shot is phenomenal as well. I love the transitions from character to character, and the dialogue when they declare they are huntresses is so good. After the cat breaks the smoke and sobers everybody up, he does the same thing he did to the prince to the herbalist.
A little bit of my heart. You'll feel much better.
Wait, so does the cat have the ability to calm people's emotions, or maybe he has some control over the inhabitants of this world? After this, Herb falls into a hole that opens up in the ground. The episode ends with Lil waking up, declaring,
Oh, I found the cat.
"Yeah, you sure did, Lil, you sure did. How did you sleep during that entire thing?" I get that if he was awake, he could have done the same thing functionally as a cat to break RWBY out of the smoke, but still. Episode 4 was a very character-driven episode, and I really loved that. We got to see our team really... We finally got to see a comparison of how our team started to how they are now. We really got to see a visual of how far our team has come, compared to RWBY, who, for most of the volumes, has felt kind of the same. Like, she doesn't feel like she's had an exponential growth like the rest of Team RWBY has. She has had little moments here and there that have changed her character, but not even necessarily for the better. At least, not probably from her viewpoint. Like I said, when she lied to Ironwood. I don't think that's something she's necessarily proud of. That last sequence of this episode was really this entire episode. It was shot phenomenally. I love the way it flashes from character to character to character as they go through each and every one of their growths as a character. And they really cut it very well. So overall, this episode, again, was a very, very good episode. I think I'd give it probably 9 out of 10. I don't think it was quite good as the last episode. There was no combat in this one, which is one of the big draws of RWBY. And there was no music. So, yeah, about 9 out of 10. So let's get to episode 5. Episode 5 of Volume 9 starts off with our heroes doing what they should have done initially when they met the weird bug man that came out of the random rainbow bush. They are running away from it. Coming to a stop, the cat catches up with them, congratulating them on making it out. Which isn't something everyone can say, which lends more credibility that there have been more humans down here than we've been led to believe. Weiss then unloads on the cat, clearly fed up with him.
You're the one who ditched us in the first place. Which, by the way, was how we ended up in that mushroom house to begin with. You know, where that delirious caterpillar guy tried to drug us and then was swallowed up by a freaking hole in the ground?
Ah, yes.
She does have a point. The cat told them to stay with him, then immediately ditched them for whatever reason. The cat spouts some more nonsense about perceptions, thought processes, and Alex. Are we sure this cat's name isn't the philosophical bullshit cat?
Got him. Totally roasted.
I know. I'm a comedy genius. The cat also mentions the herbalist went back to the ever after, whatever that means. I'm assuming that there is some sort of rebirth situation going on here in this world, and the cat's role in this world is to lead those that have strayed too far back to the ever after. From their oath to the ever after, to be reborn either back into their role or into something else that benefits the world as a whole. The cat then runs ahead before leading the team to this. It's an island bazaar in the middle of the lake. I feel like I've seen something similar to this in another show or maybe a game, but I just can't place my finger on it. Final Fantasy 13 maybe? They hop onto a lily pad that floats them over to the bazaar, with us getting a shot of other denizens of the ever after also making their way to the island. While they're heading over there, the team decides to get some answers about this world from the cat. Yang actually leads us off.
So, Cat, going to explain to us how a giant caterpillar disappearing into a hole isn't how it seems?
Then the cat starts to give us an exposition dump, talking about how things in the world work, that when the denizens of this place break, freak out, or simply finish their work, they return to this place to get a new role. So nothing in this world ever truly dies. They are simply repurposed into something else that the world needs. Weiss has a hard time accepting a world where things don't die.
That's impossible. Things have to die someday. Right?
No, Weiss, you're right. Everything eventually needs to die. It's how the world progresses forward. If the thing dies, then the world would enter a form of stagnation, as ideas would be ingrained so deeply that new ideas would simply die. Our limited lifespans also push people to accomplish things in the little time that they have, to do all they can to improve it for the future generations. It also inspires the opposite, but let's not talk about that. Death is a vital part in the cycle of life. He does briefly mention a way for someone of this world to die.
Though I suppose there is a creature.
I'm assuming he means the Jabberwocker. Is the Jabberwocker's role in this one of a Grim Reaper? Because everything in this world has purpose, everything has a role. So the existence of this creature can't be coincidence. It's there for a reason. That reason being, I assume, to reap the souls of those whose time have come. The way the cat speaks about death is actually a bit suspicious. He talks about it with such disdain.
I know, where you're from, things die.
One that would only make sense if he had personal experience with death. But if, as he claims, it doesn't really happen in this world, he shouldn't really have a good grasp on the concept of death, or really have such a strong opinion on it. So I wonder if at one point death was a regular thing in the ever after, until the cat decided to do something about it. He does, after all, have the ability to give denizens of this world new rules, which is something that the ever after is supposed to do. He then talks about Herb. So it seems that this cat, for whatever reason, has some control over the denizens of this place. He is able to briefly change their minds or heal their broken hearts when they fail to accomplish their role, like we saw with the Red Prince when he failed to live up to his purpose of winning a game. And with Herb, he brought him back to his senses so that he could be reborn. When they land, Blake asks this.
Wait, so what happened to Herb?
And wait, is that bird in the hat? Look at him, he's so cute in his little muckraker hat. Oh, I'd buy one of his snacks. Oh, wait, focus. We are getting very important information about the Red King right now.
Is that what happened to the king?
And now he's the prince you met.
So it turns out that the Red King couldn't cope with his loss to Alex, so he broke. Where he was then recalled and was reborn as the Red Prince, which in my opinion is a massive downgrade.
The prince was worse.
Going from probably a fairly big king to a pint-sized brat of a prince, that has to suck. If I remembered my past life and figured out something like this, I'd be pissed. They question why the prince is the way he is when the king was so nice. It turns out when people are reborn, they lose their memory. But even if they are reborn, they still have some semblance of memory ingrained in them.
The heart very rarely forgets.
But there was.
So if someone was killed by a human, they wouldn't remember the actual event, but they would remember the emotions that they felt in that moment. It's kind of like a repressed memory of a traumatic event. Even if you can't remember it, you can still feel the emotions tied to said event, feeling anxious, angry, or scared when similar events are happening, even if you don't really know why. So with this ingrained trauma from his loss to Alex, he developed a hate for humans, the people that broke him. I wonder if the prince is going to be reborn much like the king was after he suffered a loss to RWBY. If the first time he went from a king to a prince, what would he go to next? What would be a step down from prince? A normal noble? Will his demeanor become even worse? Is he going to go full dictator on his citizens and just start beheading anybody who he thinks could be in the game? If so, it's gonna suck when they go back to find Penny's weapon. Our team is confused by this ascension nonsense as it wasn't mentioned in the book. Then we get this very meta conversation on the nature of exposition from the cat.
Of course not! Exposition is terribly boring. Even this conversation was, on the whole, rather tedious.
Okay, so the fourth wall breaking in the fourth episode was fun and kind of inventive, but this one was a bit too on the nose for me, and felt a little like covering exposition that needed to happen with a joke. Blake asks herself if Alex left anything else out. So wait, is Alex a real person in the world of Remnant? Is she alive somewhere out there? Did everybody think that this was just a fun story, or are there people that know it's the truth? How old would she be now, given that the book came out before Team RWBY was born? There's a lot of questions surrounding Alex in Remnant. After this, Kat tells them what they need to get for him, so that he can make them normal size again. And it's weird.
Grumpy ivy, one good-sized spicy potato, the lint off a Griffin's sweater.
How could these ingredients possibly make a parfait? It's gonna be the rankest parfait to ever exist. The cat tells them to go get the leprechaun's nose hair, while he gets the rest. Then he immediately gets distracted by something else.
Guess I'd better go with the cat so they don't get distracted by a shiny doorknob and never come back.
Yeah, that's probably for the best, Yang. The other two decide to go with Yang as well for...
I'll go with you.
Get me as far away as possible from any nose hairs, please.
I'll go with you, Ruby.
different reasons. Keep your thirst to a manageable level, please, Blake. Don't need that right now. Weiss decides jumping onto the cat's head is the best way to jump on him, and honestly, it probably was.
But we're coming along.
I wonder if the other two did the same. I can picture the cat going, ow, ow, as the two other people just bonk him on the head for no reason. Also, I'm not sure this was the better option, Weiss. Like, you know these two are just gonna be awkwardly flirting the entire time, right? Being the third wheel isn't going to be fun. Then we see the narrative reason for the splitting of the party, as Ruby goes off on her own with Little, in search of the nose hair, when the streets go dark and we hear this metal clank. A bright light shines from Ruby's right and... Is that Penny's sword? How did it get over here? I thought for sure they were going to go back to the Red Prince's palace for that. Then we see her, the blacksmith from the opening. She seems to be working on some sort of wing thing. It actually kind of looks like a butterfly. I wonder if all the butterflies around here have some sort of connection to her. Maybe they are her eyes and ears around at the Ever After. After all, it appears like she doesn't have any eyes of her own. She's actually a lot creepier looking than she was in the trailer. Like, those hollow eyes are haunting. Ruby questions how she has Penny's sword. She thought it was lost forever. She responds with a line straight out of How to Help Someone Get Over Their Grief textbook.
Nothing, no one is ever truly lost.
See? Some textbook comforting words. Then Ruby looks down at the sword and BAM!
And what of you?
Penny's in the sword. I wonder if, like Jean, Ruby is somehow going to incorporate Penny's sword into her weapon or clothes as a memory. Little at this moment decides to wake up and is justifiably a little creeped out at where he has found himself. The blacksmith asks if he is her guide, to which he responds,
Ruby is my friend, and I want to help her get home. Even though I don't know where that is or how to get there.
Yeah, that's an understatement. I love you, Little, but you are not a very good guide. More of a cheerleader, really. The blacksmith then goes on more.
You seem to be carrying a rather large burden with you.
Damn, what is with these people in this world and being up in Ruby's business about the weight that she bears on her shoulders? Is a person not allowed to just let the weight of the world slowly crush them in peace anymore? Damn. The blacksmith makes her an offer that if she ever so chooses, she can choose another weapon and set her burden down. The weapon in her hand changes to a dagger, so I'm assuming the actual penny sword is still in that garden at the Red Prince's Palace. The dagger in question is Alex's, and we see her face a little. So I wonder if the blacksmith made a similar promise to Alex. Ruby tells her of her undying love for Crescent Rose.
I already have a weapon. I did.
Then she turns to the one weapon on the wall that bears some significance. I mean, look at it compared to the other weapon. It's like the can you guess the main character of weapons over here. Ruby seems to be entranced by the axe, sound droning out behind her. Wait, was that Summer? Is this Summer's weapon? Finally, some information about her, even if it is as small as her weapon of choice. Honestly, I don't know if an axe was on my list of possible weapons for Summer. Judging by the trigger, it's also a gun like Ruby's. The barrel and this thing I think indicate that it's a rifle of some sort. I don't think it's a sniper, but maybe like a Winchester or something. So Ruby combined parts of Crow's weapon with her mom's. That's cool. The color scheme is similar to Ruby's with a little more white. The black lines here make it seem like it might have a transformation function like Crow's, though I don't know what that could be. Maybe to make it function better as a firearm like Pyrrha's weapon? Either way, it's a pretty wicked weapon, and I think it being there symbolizes who Ruby wants to be. I think Penny might have symbolized a similar thing. These are the people that she looks up to as symbols of what she is supposed to be. A huntress, a hero, a savior. The clanging gets louder, then Ruby finds herself back in the streets with the cat talking to her. So was Ruby hallucinating in the middle of the street? Maybe those drugs from the herbalist are starting to affect her. Did the edibles she took finally kick in or something? The cat asks if she got the nose hair, which she doesn't yet, on account of tripping balls in the middle of the street. I mean, being abducted into a strange blacksmith's shop.
Well, no, not just yet, but...
Weiss is standing on the cat's head for some reason, probably to get away from the two lovebirds. She is a little annoyed that Ruby hasn't done her job yet.
Ruby, come on, we got everything else.
No, Weiss, be nice to Ruby. She's going through it right now, both emotionally and with the drugs. You need to be supportive while she goes through this. She has a problem. Blake spots the teapot merchant and they head over to them. The cat jumps up to talk to them and immediately begins to act like a cat.
I'm sorry.
Is that the teapot lady?
Best mud cookies you've ever had.
Welcome to Babies and Things. How can I help you?
Looking for nose hairs? No, not the ogre ones.
What an asshole. She appears to have what they need, but before they can buy it, some fireworks go off spelling the word danger. Before the bird from before comes screaming about the Jabberwocker, freaking the teapot out, causing her to start sucking up her product back in her pot, including the hairs. The cat grabs them to stop her, but she isn't budging. So Ruby unclips her symbol and offers it to her.
Here, I'll give you this. It carries a mother's promise.
So she got her symbol from her mother? Wait, Ruby can't give something like that away? If this volume is all about Ruby finding who she is, away from all the pressure that she has put on herself, and that has been put on her, does that mean that she is going to get a new symbol by the end of this one? One that is unique to her? This symbol makes it seem like the symbol she has been carrying around is her mother's, and she gave it to her as a promise. That promise probably being that she would make it back from whatever hunt she went on that got her killed. So Ruby's never had a symbol of her own, just one she inherited from her mother, and with it the expectations of living up to that symbol, and everything that it means to her. With this final ingredient, they are able to make the parfait. How? I don't know, but it does. The The cat gives them a warning before they start to eat it.
Here, but be careful. Eat too much and we'll have to shrink you back again. And that's a completely different potion.
Wait, Weiss, this is your chance. If you just eat a little more than the others, you can increase your height. You'll no longer be the shortest member of Team RWBY. It will be RWBY again, who is canonically taller than Weiss as of Volume 7. Just go for it, Weiss. They eat a bit and grow a bit taller, about the size of an action figure.
It wasn't a...
But before they can eat more, here comes a Jabberwocker. There goes the parfait. Oh no, that's not good. Now they have a super Jabberwocker on their hands. She tries to get to the parfait, but the Jabberwocker will not let them. Then out of nowhere, it's the bird from before. He's here to help them because the cat...
I gave him something new to do for the moment.
Yeah, you remember what I was mentioning earlier about the cat being more than it seems? This is why. He was able to give the bird a new role in the Ever After to protect Team RWBY, and he actually isn't doing a bad job. While the bird is nobly sacrificing itself against its will, Team RWBY goes back to eating the parfait, though it appears the bird wasn't enough because the Jabberwocker is back. Then, out of nowhere again, it's the Rusted Knight who rams into the Jabberwocker, finally giving them a chance to use the parfait, growing back to the normal heights, including Weiss, who didn't take this perfect chance to add a couple inches to her height. Like, if she added 2 or 3 inches, they probably wouldn't even notice. They just think she got bigger heels or something. Then, action happens. It's a short fight, but it's still cool, giving us this cool shot of Yang just unloading into the back of its head. The fight ends with Yang doing a Goku on the Jabberwocker.
Neo?
When it dies though, it disperses into pink, much like a certain mute's illusions. So I was right, she did subjugate the Jabberwocker. And about the fact that her semblance has been supercharged, she appears to be pulling a Weiss and summoning her fallen enemies to her side. It's a good thing that they're establishing her as a main threat a little more in this episode, the halfway point of the volume. They aren't given much time to ruminate on this reveal as more of them show up. The cat tells them to run as he and the bird hold them off. So Team RWBY and the Rusted Knight make their way up to the bazaar. When they get to the top, they see the destruction that Neo has created. Poor Weiss can't get a break. Also, I can see it now, all the White Rose fans cheering as RWBY holds Weiss's hand to guide her away from the destruction. They will claim how romantic it is, ignoring the fact that Weiss is currently having an emotional breakdown. They will hold on to this moment for 6 volumes of no progress towards their ship. And honestly, respect to them for holding on to a ship that really hasn't had any indication that will happen for this long. Like, I'm serious about this. This is some serious dedication from the White Rose fans. They enter the cave that the Rusted Knight entered, with Blake beginning to fangirl
The Rusted Knight. In person.
a little bit. She's meeting one of her childhood heroes, who removes his helmet, revealing
Team RWBY. You finally made it.
Daddy Jean, Old Man Jean. Oh, Blake was fangirling over Jean, and Weiss in one of the previous episodes called him dashing. How the turns have tabled on you, Weiss. So this means that some timey-wimey stuff is definitely happening. I think I mentioned the possibility with Neo, and with this happening to Jean means something weird definitely happened. If Jean is the Rusted Knight from the story, they were as children, this has some weird timeline and destiny implications. Because for the Rusted Knight to exist, it means that Team RWBY and Jean would have to fall into the Ever After at some point, or there would be no Rusted Knight. So RWBY was destined to fail, destined to lose the battle in Atlas. So them reading about the Rusted Knight means that they had already failed, because if they hadn't failed in some timeline, the story they had read as children would have changed. So does that mean that no matter what they did, they would have wound up at that point in time with them in the Ever After? That no matter what choices they made, they would wind up here because they had to use the timeline to make sense for Jean to be the Rusted Knight. Everything had to lead up to this moment because there no other outcome would be Rusted. Does anybody else smell copper? Fucking timelines. And that reveal ends the episode. Episode 5 was a mindfuck. especially with that reveal at the end. Jean being the rest of the night, I did not really see that coming because messing with talons is wild. The fight in it was really good. I really liked that. Again, we got to see more team fights in this with all of them working together. We really don't get enough of that in other volumes. They really brought that back in this volume. Well, at least with more than 2 people, because we did see a little teamwork with Blake and Yang, but this one had Weiss, Blake, and Yang all working together to fight this enemy, much like we used to see back in volume 2 and 3. Then we have that scene in with the blacksmith with Ruby, where we finally got some information about Summer. It was small. It's really not that important. Actually, we got 2 reveals about Summer. One not really that important, one really important. The first one not important was the weapon. Her weapon, we finally figured out what weapon of choice was, which is really cool because it adds a little bit, and weapons are a big part of the show. But the more important thing we learned was that Ruby's symbol was given to her by her mother. This is the same symbol. This symbol was a symbol of Summer's promise to Ruby. Her promise to come back, to return to her, probably return to her always. A promise that she didn't keep. But Ruby's been keeping hold of it, hoping that maybe one day Summer would return, because, I don't know, maybe there's no confirmation that she actually died. She just never came back. And I think her giving the symbol away is her maybe giving up, trying to live up to the memory of Summer. Maybe. Because that's what it means. It's what Ruby thinks, because Ruby thinks what Summer is what it means to be a huntress, and that by proxy, that symbol is what it means to be a huntress to Ruby. And by giving it away, Ruby is throwing away what she thinks it means to be a huntress. So maybe that's what that means. Well, if you like this episode, give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and thanks for watching. I give the episode probably a 9 out of 10. This one was really good. Or 9.5 out of 10. This one was really good. Alright, thanks for watching. Weegee out.